here is how things stand with regard to the funeral of the late President Edgar Chagwa Lungu. So according to the Daily Nation, the Patriotic Front has no say over Edgar Chagwa Lungu's funeral. So pretty much like they're only speaking on behalf of the family. Mostly it's Makebi Zulu and Given Luwinda, they are speaking on behalf of the family. So those statements say they are not coming from the PF, but pretty much from the family. Neither do they have a say. But early on in the morning, we were greeted by this message as a nation. They said that the talks between government and family suspended. So when Emmanuel Mamba posted this news, he did not add any context. He just left it there. But because of the demands that people wanted to find out on what grounds were the talks broken, and he later on updated the nation. But as things stand, was posted by Smart Eagles, the family of the late President Edgar Lungu requests respect for private funeral arrangements. That's in Pretoria, South Africa, 12 June 2025. So the family of the late 60th Republican President, Dr. Edgar Chagwa Lungu, has requested that the government respect their decision to handle their funeral privately in accordance with his expressed wishes. Dr. Lungu passed away in South Africa on 5th June 2025. Since his passing, two delegations led by Foreign Affairs Minister Mulamba Himbe and another by former Vice President Enoch Kavindere held meetings with the family. The discussions, however, not yielded consensus. Pretty much they could not come to an agreement. In a statement released by family spokesperson Makebi Zulu, the family expressed disappointment at what they described as the shift in position from government, even after prior agreements had been reached. They emphasized that all logistical preparations had already been put in place to ensure Dr. Lungu's wishes were honored. And then the family finds it difficult to continue engaging with government, which has present conditions that suggest that the family has no say in the fundamental issues reflecting to the manner in the deceased is to be mourned. The family called for understanding from the public, affirming that their intentions is to honor Dr. Lungu in a manner befitting his stature, while remaining faithful to his personal instructions. So according to Makebi Zulu, it seems like he had placed, according to a statement, Edgar Lungu had placed some wishes, which they only know. So people are requesting to say, okay, publicize if it was a will that he had placed in place, publicize that, or if it was a video thing. But here back home, another news was going on with regard to Edgar Lungu's other two kids. As you might be aware, Dadiso wasn't part of the delegation that went to have a memorial service in Pretoria, which happened should have been like a day ago or so. And then the UPND posted this with Nkandruo's image. They say, PFF continued propagating lies when the country is mourning. Even they are looking for numbers, but timing is important. So now they are talking about the actions that are coming from Nkandruo, because she had an interview with Prime TV. And during that interview, according to what Prime TV captions here, say Professor Nkandruo has revealed to Prime TV today that the late President Lungu's son, Dadiso Lungu, was today summoned for interrogation at Drug Enforcement Commission. This is despite his losing his father barely a week ago. So during that interview is what prompted people to ask questions, to say, on what grounds was this done? And then people are having a conversation over that. So this interview extract from Prime TV started trending and started making waves. People were asking, how could they do that? And immediately the Drug Enforcement Commission put up a statement. They put up a video in response to that. The Drug Enforcement Commission refutes Nkandruo's claims, of alleged investigation against Dadiso Lungu. So that's one thing that is commendable. They did not let that news fester, because that clip from Prime TV started trending. But immediately, once the Drug Enforcement Commission came across it, they put up a statement, a video statement, and what you see on the screen there. And they categorically stated to say that so Lungu's passport, including his sister's, were never seized by the Drug Enforcement Commission. Neither was Esther Lungu's passport, that's the former First Lady, or Tesila Lungu. And that's why they were even able to travel. So those allegations put up by Nkandru have no grounds, and they are not true. So that's how that particular news headline was killed off. And obviously, these are the two that are in reference to the former head of state's children, the ones that Nkandru was saying the passport was obtained. And the Drug Enforcement Commission clearly stated, no, they did not get their passports, and they're in coordination with their lawyers. And their lawyers have also said that statement that came from Nkandru is not endorsed by him, meaning if the lawyer does not endorse that statement, neither does his clients, who are the people that you see on screen there, Edgar Lungu's other children, aside from Tesila, the Chagwa member of parliament. And then Chief Atari say he had this to say: no matter which way, the chicken will come home to roost. Government and the Republican president cannot be embarrassed. The vouchers are exaggerating their powers. But my plea by government, spare these two children of Edgar Chagwa Lungu. They have been very sober. You would have hardly recognized they are children of Edgar Chagwa Lungu. So Chief Hatari is appealing to government and the head of state to say, in this case, let them consider either pardoning or whatever they can do to, with regard to their runnings that they have with the law. Where they can be spared, because they have been quiet, really. And they're saying it's beginning to look like the only child that Edgar Lungu had was Tesila Lungu. But they are equally entitled, and they've not issued any statement. It's just people within the party that are alleging to say certain statements are coming from them. And in reality, their lawyers are refuting that, and the Drug Enforcement Commission has refuted. They did not seize their passports, and none of that holds any water. So that's how that story was killed off. Then, as you remember, when Emmanuel Mwamba had posted to say the talks were suspended with regard to government and the Lungu family interaction, that is Esther Lungu and Tesila Lungu, the ones that are in South Africa. And then now he highlighted the grounds on which the suspension of talks had happened. So Emmanuel Mwamba said, after rounds of talk with government delegation led by Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Affairs and Internal Cooperation, Mlambe Ahimbe, and later Secretary to the Cabinet, Patrick Kangwa, the man that you see on screen there, who attended the memorial service in Pretoria, South Africa. Some of the family demands, so these are the demands that they had put across to the government. So request for church service in Indora, place of birth, and church have been praying for Edgar Chagwa Lungu for the last 6 months, and Petauke is home area, and Lusaka. So according to the demands that were put across to government from the family, say they wanted when Edgar Lungu lands in the country, either he lands in Indora or he lands in Lusaka, he's supposed to have a church service in Indora where he was born. And that's the church that has been praying for him the past 6 months, according to that statement. And then later on, they also requested that his body be moved to Petauke, his home area, where they can have a service somewhere, and then they can be brought back to Lusaka. That's when it can be placed at Embassy Park. That was one request that they put across. 2, a body lie instead at Edgar Lungu's residence. The state can meet its security and secure the body the entire time. So they requested to say, once the body comes in for Edgar Chagwa Lungu, it should be placed at his house, and then the state can provide the security just. That was the second request. The third request was have a say on who speaks during the funeral or procession, and that's where the issue is. It seems like the people that the Patriotic Front would like to speak are not in agreement with what the government would like, because as you may see from the ceremony that was held in Pretoria, South Africa, it was Given Lubinda that spoke, and it was Makebi Zulu. And the statements that they issued from those speeches were what we refer to as very political in nature. The government wouldn't love to have that, where you invite international presidents from other countries and international delegation, and then someone starts pretty much jabbing at the sitting head of state, Hakainde Hichilema. So I believe that's where the third point, that's where the disagreement might have started from. And then the fourth point that they requested from, these are the demands coming from the family, according to what Emmanuel Mwamba posted. He went as a private person to return as a private person, state to take over at Kenneth Kaunda International Airport or Simon Mwansaka International Airport, depending on the agreed first point of entry. So that's another thing. Say his body cannot be moved from South Africa via state machinery or state repatriation. Just like the way he left the country as a private citizen, the family demands that he should be brought back as a private citizen. In fact, they say they had already booked a jet for the body to be moved back to Zambia. And then they can only come to an agreement whether it's going to be at Kenneth Kaunda International Airport or Simon Mwansaka Pwepo if it's in Dola, if they decide to hold that service at the church where he was being prayed for the past 6 months. That was the fourth point. And then another point is amongst the demands, there was objection. There was objection because of the presence of some members of government delegation. So another thing is they did not state here who they did not want to be part of, whether near President, the late president's body. They just said they objected to some members of government being part of the delegation or people that handle are close to Edgar Chagwa Lungu's body. That's another thing. Body must be repatriated to Lusaka, Zambia immediately. I mean, now these are the government demands. So the ones that I read you above, those are the demands that came from the family. And these are the demands that came from government during that interaction, according to what Emmanuel Mwamba posted there. Said the body must be repatriated to Lusaka, Zambia immediately. That was one of the demands coming from government. Two, states takes charge of the body from undertaker to, in South Africa to Lusaka. Another thing, the government demanded to say they cannot just take over the body of the late president once it reaches the Zambian airspace or in Zambia. They must take it over from South Africa itself, meaning the repatriation should happen from there under government supervision. That's the second demand. So you see those two conflicting demands. And the third demand that came from the government is family demands may not automatically be accepted. So that third one say whatever the family had requested above there, not everything will be automatically accepted. So it seems like that's where they came out with that standoff so far when they reported that hold off. And then according to an interview from QFM, Foreign Affairs and Internal Security Cooperation Minister Mulamba Himbe says, while the bereaved family of the late former president has the right to express its wishes, the matter of his send-off is one of national importance. So that's a response based off the interview that QTV and QFM pretty much has the same station had with Minister of Home Affairs, Foreign Affairs. That's a response to say, yes, in as much as the family may place those demands, that's the former head of state. You cannot just treat him as any other citizen or former citizen. And then in Zimbabwe, Mnangagwa decided to, this was posted by UPND Zambia, say President Emerson Mnangagwa has arrived at the Zambian embassy in Harare to sign the book of condolences following the death of former Zambian President Dr. Edgar Lungu. So, I mean, obviously, he would have preferred to come to Zambia and sign that, but from the look of things, it looks like this thing will be delayed for a while. So he decided to do it in his country, hometown. So he visited the place there, and that was these are the images that are coming from Emerson Mnangagwa's signing the book of condolence at the Zambian embassy in Harare, Zimbabwe. There, and then right after that statement, then Makebi Zulu, this is the one that is on ground in South Africa with the family and the family spokesperson right now. I put up a video of the new demands now to say, actually, the talks with government have come to an end. Like they could not come to an agreement, and they put up this video pretty much stating the way forward. And he says on Thursday, 5th June 2025, the 60th Republican President Edgar Lungu died in South Africa. Following his death, the family had several engagements with government of the Republic of Zambia with 2 delegations. Obviously, this is what I highlighted earlier on. So in the first delegation, they put up that. And at the said meeting, it was made known to the family that had already put in place logistics to address wishes of the deceased, but it seems like they could not come to an agreement. And then one of the demands now that they placed in place is that the is to be more amongst the requests that they say came from Edgar Chagwa Lungu. He say the manner some will be conveyed and how the desires were to be. Yeah, that they want not to be the government of the Republic of Zambia and the President Hakainde Hichilema should not be anywhere near the body of President Edgar Chagwa Lungu for reasons that have become common cause. So that's one that trended from that speech that he gave out to say, according to the last wishes of the late president, based off that statement, to say he had placed it on record to say President Hakainde Hichilema, the sitting president of Zambia, should not be close to his body anywhere. So it seems like it's that triggered the fall off from these talks to say, so they're going to do it privately. And then they go further to say, in conveyance of the remains, it is the desire of the family that the conscience of the deceased should not be betrayed, and that the death of the 60th Republican president does not repose any superior rights to government to exceed those of the family. So pretty much like the tussle between government and them. In the said meeting, the government changed position on the proposal that the area said were agreeable after running from the purported consultation. So they say after they agreed to that, obviously, you can't say it's a purported conversation. That delegation was sent by government. So they had to report back before they come to any agreement. So after that agreement, the family finds it difficult to continue engaging with the government, which has preset conditions that suggest that the family has no say in the fundamental issue relating to the manner in the deceased is to be mourned and the conveyance of his remains. The matter of conscience is both the deceased and the family should not be sacrificed at the altar of convenience by the government. The family remains committed to the 60th Republican president being mourned in a befitting manner by both the nation, foreign dignitaries, and the family. So pretty much from that speech, what stood out is that they do not want President Hakainde Hichilema to be near late President Edgar Chagwa Lungu's body. Pretty much that was the highlight of that speech. Everything else looks like no, they couldn't just come to an agreement. And then Chief Etayari responded, says, they are not thinking properly. Eventually, they will need a burial permit. South Africa cannot give them that. They will have to come to Zambia, and government has to issue that simple document without which you cannot bury. So he says that in as much as putting up all this bravado, looking at the family, in reality, that South Africa wouldn't want to mess up the relationship that it has with Zambia by allowing the former head of state be buried in that land when the entire nation is waiting to pay their last respects here back home. So Chief Etayari says that permit is not going to be given by the South African government. And then again, when they come back in this country, the family, and they bring the body of the late president, the government is not going to issue them that private permit that they would need for them to bury his remains. If it's not at Embassy Park, that's like the argument that Chief Etayari is putting across there. And then UPND urges late President Lungu's family to heed Archbishop Chama's call for dignified mourning. So according to Frank Warrior there, put up a statement, and then he went further to say, President Hakainde Hichilema never withdrew the benefits of the former President Edgar Lungu. It is the Zambian people through the constitution, Frank Warrior. So he says those benefits that people are referring to were not withdrawn by President Hakainde Hichilema. It's the constitution that stipulates if one person comes back into active politics, automatically they lose their benefits. That's the argument coming from the UPND via Frank Warrior there. And obviously other people are weighing in with their points of views there. Let's see what else is in the news. The UPNG just says Christian Nation with an emoji there of sadness there. People are just like, yo, at this point, yo, what's going on? Who's going to break this deadlock that is happening between government? On the other hand, funeral service, according to Fred Membe, for late cousin, the late Godfrida Mwamba Chola, held at Our Lady's Mother's Redeemer Kawama Parish in Lusaka. So Fred Membe has a personal funeral there, and then he went further to say, I am grateful to the leadership of the Patriotic Front led by Honorable Given Luinda for finding time to attend the funeral today. We do not take this for granted in today's Zambia, where funerals have become an issue. Thank you, comrades. So pretty much was thanking Given Luinda for attending his private funeral there. And those are the images from that private funeral where Fred Membe had lost his first cousin. Yo, and then in the mass newspaper, I am shocked and in denial. Those who saw Lungu as a political threat shouldn't be excited. Alas Inonge Wina said in the mass newspaper there. She's still in shock and in denial. In the news diggers, Mwila fears tension after Lungu's burial. Church must reconcile us. That's in the news diggers. And the UPND saying, never take peace for granted. Zambia is my tribe under the motto, one Zambia, one nation. And that's the news, ladies and gentlemen. So as things stand, the demand coming from the family is that President Hakainde Hichilema should not be near the late President Edgar Chagwa Lungu's body when it comes in. Probably that's where the standoff is coming in, because President Hakainde Hichilema is the sitting head of state representing government. So I do not know who's able to break that deadlock between the family and the government. That's the news, ladies and gentlemen.